Have you ever looked at, say, a huge pile of regulations or maybe just a ton of research and felt completely lost, like staring into a black hole?
Okay.
Especially if you're part of a smaller team. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into a pretty amazing success story. It's about a company called Sentinel Systems Integration.
Right.
They're a small business, just 34 employees, but they hold significant contracts with the U.S. Navy and the Air Force.
Yeah, which means serious requirements.
Exactly. Their big challenge. Tackling the incredibly complex cybersecurity compliance stuff. We're talking CMMC Level 2, DFARS, the works.
Mm-hmm. And our mission today really is to pull out the key lessons from how Sentinel handled this. It's not just what they did, but how, especially managing those, really stringent requirements like the 110 controls from NIST SP 800-171 Revision 2.
That's the big NIST standard for protecting sensitive government info.
Precisely. So this deep dive should give you a kind of shortcut to understanding how you can manage overwhelming information effectively, no matter what field you're in, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so let's unpack this. Sentinel Systems, they were facing a truly huge task. I mean, picture it. Very limited internal IT, limited cyber staff.
Always a challenge for smaller companies.
Right. And yet they had to implement and document all 110 of those NIST controls meticulously.
And that documentation is key.
Absolutely. Plus, they needed a system security plan, an SSP, and a plan of action and milestones, the POA&M.
To report their SPRS score. That's the self-assessment score they report up.
To the government, yeah. And it didn't stop there. They also had to worry about flow down, making sure their subs were compliant, too.
Which adds another layer of complexity.
For sure. Not to mention incident reporting, data protection under that DFAR 73012 clause.
The DoD rule for safeguarding CUI.
Exactly. All while getting ready for a future CMMC Level 2 certification, the new big framework, and somehow keeping the actual business running day to day.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how these really intricate, genuinely overwhelming demands apply even to smaller businesses like Sentinel. It just highlights that constant balancing act, keeping the lights on versus tackling these critical, often complex compliance tasks.
It really does. So that's the puzzle. Given these resource limits, how did they actually do it? What was the solution?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. They realized pretty quickly, I think, that trying to manage this manually or, piece by piece just wasn't going to work.
Too much risk, too complex.
Exactly. They needed something strategic, something central. And that led them to adopt a platform, specifically the CyberComply GRC platform.
GRC meaning governance, risk, and compliance.
That's right. This platform essentially became their command center. It let them consolidate everything, automate parts of it, and critically demonstrate compliance across all these different requirements.
Okay, so what specifically about this platform helped them? What were the key features?
Good question. If we connect this to the bigger picture, several things were crucial. First, it gave them full coverage of those 110 NIST controls, actually breaking them down into over 320 subcontrols. So, no guesswork.
Comprehensive.
Very. It also had a scoping tool that was vital for them to tailor their efforts, focus their limited resources where needed.
Smart.
And it auto-generated their SPRS score based on their inputs. That gave them like a real-time dashboard of where they stood. Then there was the evidence repository. Think of it like a central library for all their proof logs, policies, procedures. Made audits much easier.
So everything in one place.
Exactly. Plus, policy templates covering 14 different areas. That massively sped up getting their own policies written and implemented.
Huge time saver, I bet.
Definitely. And in audit readiness modes, they could do internal checks like practice runs, build confidence. And one more crucial point. The platform itself didn't store their sensitive data, their CUI.
Oh, interesting. Why was that important?
It helped reduce their liability under DFARS. Less risk if the tool holding your compliance info isn't also holding the sensitive data itself.
Makes sense. So the results, what happened after they implemented this?
The results were pretty remarkable, actually. They managed to complete their system scoping, their gap assessment, and their POA&M in just 30 business days.
30 days? For a small team? That's incredible.
It really is. They calculated their SPRS score and submitted it through the government's PIE system, feeling confident about it.
Right.
Plus, they got all the necessary policies and procedures nailed down for CFAR, DFARS, and CMMC prep. And the impact went further. They noticed a real improvement in cybersecurity awareness across the whole team. People started getting it.
Culture changed too, then.
Sort of, yeah. And maybe the biggest validation, they actually passed a DCMA review That's the Defense Contract Management Agency looking at their cybersecurity posture during a contract pre-award audit.
Passing a DCMA audit is no small feat.
Not at all. It showed their approach was working, seriously working, and now they're well on track for CMMC Level 2 certification. They estimate over 80% of the evidence is already organized in the platform.
That's fantastic progress.
Yeah.
Their director of operations had a great quote, actually. He said, "Before CyberComply, compliance felt like a black hole. Now we have structure, automation, and visibility. It's like having a CMMC program office in one platform."
That sums it up perfectly. Structure, automation, visibility.
So, hearing all this, what does Sentinel's story mean for you, listening right now?
Yeah, this really raises a bigger question, doesn't it? What can Sentinel's success tell us about using technology, using structured approaches to overcome resource limits? And not just in cybersecurity. This applies to any really complex area where you might feel overwhelmed by information or requirements.
Absolutely. So maybe take a moment to consider, how could you apply these ideas? How could you tackle your own information black holes, whether that's at work with overwhelming data or maybe a complex personal project, even just learning a new difficult subject? How can you turn that feeling of overwhelm into clear, actionable insights?